Welcome back. Professor Jaspal, the question of Pakistan's own nuclear program. Pakistani nuclear policy makers still complain that in spite of the safeguards that have been put in place since the Dr. A.Q. Khan episode became public, the international community, notably the US and other Western powers, continue to block Pakistan's efforts to seek nuclear energy for power generation and other peaceful purposes. Is the hangover going to remain in place as we go in future?
There's one thing that, if my personal opinion is that we should allow the A.Q. Khan to meet the people internationally. Whatever he wants to say, he can say, because 99% people knows what happened during this entire episode. If you see that Switzerland's Ternal company has been, they refused that they are not allowing the American investigators to meet. But
so what you're saying is that Pakistan should give international access to A.Q. Khan?
They can give him whatever he wants. He can say he will be acting whether maybe rationally or irrationally. Whatever there is, everything is known, number one. Number two, coming towards the Pakistan's energy. Obviously, we cannot ignore A.Q. Khan's hangover. It will continue because till the time we are unable to justify that Pakistan is not a proliferator state, the West will be always skeptical. But more than that, there is a more important is that whether our nuclear energy market is attractive for nuclear commercial lobbies in the West or not. Because those commercial lobbies, they have to work first to make an amendment in nuclear supplier group. Without making any amendment in the nuclear supplier group, like they facilitated India, there's no way that they can give us any nuclear reactor. It's a wrong perception in Pakistan that the French president said, okay, we are going to have a nuclear. No, they are not able to do any nuclear.
So it's a complex procedure, but what you're saying is that a beginning could be made if Pakistan was to grant international access to Dr. A.Q. Khan. Professor Nayyar, your turn. If indeed Pakistan was in that position, Pakistan took that view and finally allowed international access to Dr. A.Q. Khan. Earlier on, you said that there are a number of other people from the so-called establishment who could find themselves getting all involved in the investigation as we go forward. Realistically, is it possible for Pakistan to take the risk of giving this access to Dr. A.Q. Khan and then living with the consequences, and what could be those consequences?
No, much can be said about this, and mostly in speculative terms. The point is that the proliferation did take place from Pakistan, and it is also certain that A.Q. Khan was at the center of it. A.Q. Khan came on public television and confessed to his involvement, and also confessing that he did this out of personal greed. And later on, he said that, no, I was the fall guy. Many people were involved, and others are getting scot-free out of this. Now, the point is that people all over the world are very keen to know the whole network of proliferation that existed at that time, and that may also be in place now, even now, and they would like to get to the truth. And I'm sure that once A.Q. Khan is allowed freedom to meet press, those people will simply, easily.
But isn't there sometimes an exaggeration in the Western point of view? Because if you're talking about a proliferation network, as we heard earlier on, there's a Swiss company against which action has been taken. And it's been said over the years that there are a number of Western countries which are host to companies that are involved in this proliferation network, if indeed it still exists today, and we don't know if it does or doesn't. The question is it not the case that people exaggerate the point of view when they say that Dr. A.Q. Khan might be almost squarely the linchpin in a proliferation network if it does exist?
No, I think if the one that existed, of which A.Q. Khan was a part, certainly did a number of things which went much beyond the red line. This is certainly true. I think the fact that are already out indicate that absolutely clearly. To export whole centrifuges outside in full form and a correct number of centrifuges for cascades and exporting all the paraphernalia with it is certainly something which no other country had done so far to another country.
You've mentioned the red line. We have to take a break right now, but we'll be back in a moment for the final concluding round of this program. The question of the red line. Could Pakistan have become a nuclear power in the first place if it would not have violated the red line? In other words, was there a way for Pakistan to become a nuclearized country without breaking international norms? Do stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.